a series of classic readings for sleep-inducing experiences and healing. Hello, tonight. We invite you into the world of Kim삿갓, the wandering poet of the late Joseon dynasty. His name is Kim Byung-yeon. He is a person who wears a hat, singing about life through poetry. At this very moment, I can hear the wind blowing in the mountains and the river, whispering softly. Kim삿갓 saw the world in this sound. And beneath it, he found laughter, wisdom, and a warm heart. The hat was not just a hat to him. It was a symbol of freedom, and a shield that kept us at a distance from the world. His wanderings began in pain. After his family was ruined by the Hongyeong-rae rebellion and his grandfather died, he suffered from guilt. One night, he heard his grandfather's voice in his dream. Byung-yeon, wander the world and find the true treasure. He woke up and left the house. From then on, his journey began. One day, while walking along a mountain path, he met a strange old man. The old man who appeared from the fog had a blurred face, spoke in a hoarse voice. There is a monster that eats gold in that village. Be careful in your hat. It is the key to your destiny. Kim삿갓 muttered while touching his hat. A monster that eats gold. So the hat is the key? That sounds fun. He smiled and walked down the street. At that moment, the wind blew. Through the hem of his clothes, the mountain rang and birds flew between the trees. His steps were light, but a strange anticipation filled his heart. The mountain path was winding, and the sunlight was shining through the trees. He lifted his hat slightly and looked at the sky. The clouds drifted slowly, and the sound could be heard from afar. He talked to himself. The world is so vast. I'm about to meet everyone, whether they're monsters or people. His voice was carried by the wind and spread through the mountains. Then he stood in front of a small wooden bridge. Clear water flowed beneath the bridge and fish swam around, sparkling. He paused for a moment, looking down at the water and thinking, like water flows, life flows too. If it's a gold-eating monster, what on earth is it trying to build? As we crossed the bridge, the road became wider and wider. He adjusted his hat and continued walking. The roofs of the village began to appear in the distance. Smoke rose and faint. Human voices could be heard. He muttered, "Is that where the monsters live? We'll find out soon enough." His eyes were full of curiosity, and there was a small smile on his lips. His wandering path was leading him to a new story. Kim삿갓 slowly went down the mountain path. The sun shone through his hat, and the leaves rustled beneath his worn shoes. Then he met a woman, drawing water from a small spring. The woman's hands were rough, and her face was deeply marked by the passage of time. She looked at Kim삿갓 and said, "Where are you going, Mr. Satgat? They say there's a monster living in that village." Kim삿갓 answered with a smile. "A monster. I must meet him sometime. I wonder if you got a stomachache from eating gold." The woman said with a smile as she carried a water jug. "Be careful. That monster hates people who laugh. But your smile is really nice." The woman went down the mountain path, carrying a water jar on her shoulder. Kim삿갓 thought as he looked at her back. "If you hate laughter, then I'll be the first to be kicked out." He smiled, shaking his hat slightly. Then I took a break and drank some water next to the spring. The water was cold and clear. He scooped up some water with his hand, his face wet, muttering, "Isn't this sip of water better than gold? I guess the monster doesn't know this." He sat on the rock by the well and looked up at the sky. The sunlight shone on his face, warming it. As we passed the spring, a little boy suddenly jumped out from the bushes. He was a guy with bare feet and dirt on his face. "Hey, it's Mr. Satgat." The boy ran to grab the hat, and Mr. Kim삿갓 quickly turned around and said, "This guy says the hat is my treasure. Should I let you touch it after you wash your hands?" The little boy said, rubbing his hands. "My hands are clean." Tell me a poem, Kimsatgat improvised. Look at the little boy under the hat. His hands are really quick. The rabbit hiding in the bushes must be slower than you. The little boy laughed and ran around. Sir, let's catch a rabbit and eat it together. Kimsatgat smiled at the boy. Please leave the rabbit alone. I'll see you in the village later. The little boy shouted, running excitedly. Good? Sir, please tell me. Another poem in the village. Kimsatgat muttered, stroking his hat. That guy must be scarier than a monster. The rabbit might thank me, he said, as he started walking again. The child's laughter echoed from afar, and the mountain seemed to light up for a moment. He walked down the path visible under his hat, toward the village. Kimsatgat entered the village and saw the faces of the people. Beneath the hat, I could see thatched houses and narrow alleys, and a heavy sigh hung in the air. An old woman approached me. She was an old woman with a white towel on her head and a cane in her hand. Satgat, have you come to save us? The landlord is collecting too much tax. We have no rice and we are hungry. Kimsatgat said, looking at the old woman's wrinkled hands. Rather than coming to save you, I wanted to see you once. That landlord, he's a gold-eating monster, isn't he? The old woman whispered in surprise. Shh, I'll be mad if I hear that. But it really feels like eating gold. I hear strange sounds every night. It's like the sound of gold coins clinking, Kimsatgat said with a smile to the old woman. If it's sound, I'd like to hear it too. I wonder if I can come up with even a single poem. The old woman nodded and said, now that you've come, things might change. It was only yesterday that our son was crying. Because he was hungry, said Kimsatgat, looking at the tears in the old woman's eyes. If you're hungry, you have to eat. What good is gold? Old woman, I'll find a way to make sure. Your son doesn't go hungry, the old woman said, folding her hands. Thank you, Satgatnim. It seems like you were sent by the spirits. He walked to the town square. People were gathered in the square. A man looked at him and said, Sir, the landlord is having a feast today. We're eating rice prepared with our own rice. My wife starved yesterday. The man's eyes were full of anger. Kimsatgat said, looking at the man's firm hands, it must be a feast for a gold-eating monster. If you're hungry, eat rice. Why are you taking away my rice? The man said, nodding. When you meet the landowner, please say something to him. Ask him to give us back our rice, Kimsatgat said with a smile. I'm going to say it not in a word, but in a poem. He adjusted his hat and walked towards the landlord's house. As we passed the square, we saw a woman washing rice in an alley. The woman said while looking at Kimsatgat, Satgat, this rice was given to me by the landowner. He said he was giving away what was left over from the banquet, said Kimsatgat, looking at the rice. It's leftover rice, so it should have been yours originally. How strange, the woman said with a sigh. But who isn't hungry, Mr. Satgat, please scold the landlord, Kimsatgat said with a smile. I'm going to do it in poetry. So please watch over me. He walked down the alley and stood in front of the landlord's house. The door was made of solid wood, and the doorknob had a gold decoration. He lifted his hat slightly and knocked on the door. As the door opened, the landlord came out. She wore gorgeous silk clothes and glittered on her finger. His face was full of arrogance, but his eyes shook anxiously. The landlord looked at him and said, Aren't you the wanderer wearing a bamboo hat? I hear you're good at writing poetry. Come in and write a poem praising me. Kimsatgat tilted his hat and laughed. Before we go into praise, let's do something. He looked up at the sky for a moment, then looked down at the ground and recited, There's a monster in the golden house. It makes a noise every night, said the landlord, his eyes wide. What? A monster? How rude, Kimsatgat replied calmly. Oh, that's what the rumors say. They say it's a gold-eating monster. If it's true, you must be hungry. The people giggled outside the door, and the landlord's face turned red. He waved his hand and said, "Come in and write a proper poem," Kimsatgat muttered, touching his hat. "Well then, I guess I'll have to take the pig swine." He went through the door and went inside. As I entered the house, the landlord's servant approached me. The servant was short and had quick-moving eyes. "Sir, the master is angry." "Be careful," Kimsatgat said while looking at the servant. "If you're angry, why don't you just laugh? I heard your master hates laughing." "Is that true?" The servant nodded and said, "They say that when you laugh..." "It's true." The gold coins sparkle. "Less," Kimsatgat said with a smile. "I guess you're not hungry because the gold coins are shiny." "You're a funny master." The servant shrugged and walked away. Kimsatgat looked around the house. There were gorgeous paintings on the walls and silk rugs on the floor. He muttered, "Living like this, I'd probably want to eat gold." But wouldn't rice be better? He went into where the landlord was sitting. The landlord was sitting in front of a long table eating a meal. The table was full of rice and meat. Kimsatgat sat in the corner and said, "It's a good feast. This rice belongs to the people, don't..." "You think?" the landowner said, chewing his rice. "It's my rice. What do you know? Now, write a poem." Kimsatgat smiled. Kimsatgat said while looking at the landowner's statue, "Okay, I'll build it right away." He muttered, looking up at the sky and down at the ground. "A pig in gold is grunting on the mountain," cried the landowner, dropping his spoon. What kind of poem is this?" The people outside the door lowered their heads, trying to suppress their laughter, and one child shouted, "Oink! Oink!" Kimsatgat said calmly, "Oh, it's practice. The real thing is going now." He took a deep breath and recited it again. "Looking at the world under the hat, gold and silver treasures are fleeting. This one bowl of rice for the hungry, that is the real treasure." And the people raised their heads. His mouth shut. The old woman whispered, "A bowl of rice is our story," the man said, rubbing his eyes. "Thank you, Mr. Satgat. I hope these words will stick in your heart," the child said, clapping his hands. "The pig poem was funnier. Do it again," putting his hat back on. Kimsatgat laughed. "Yeah, laughter is a treasure too. Let's do the pig poem again next time," he said, looking at the landlord. "I hope you're not hungry anymore," the landlord said, looking down at his food without saying a word. Kimsatgat went out the door. The people waited for him outside the door. The old woman came and said, "Satgat, your face has brightened up more than before. We laughed too, thanks to you," the man said, bowing his head. "I wonder if I can bring rice to my wife," Kimsatgat said with a smile. "Laughter and rice, both are treasures. I wish the landlord knew that." He adjusted his hat and prepared to leave the village. The voices of the people followed him, warmly behind him. As we returned to the town square, the little boy came running again. "Sir, please do the pig poem again," Kimsatgat said with a smile. "Good night. A golden pig eating rice and squealing." The little boy laughed, holding his stomach. "This is so funny. Come again." "Mister," Kimsatgat said, waving his hand. "Please save the rabbit again." The little boy nodded and ran away. Kimsatgat muttered as he watched the scene. That guy is a real treasure. That night, Kimsatgat went to sleep on the outskirts of the village. I lay down and looked at the stars with my hat as my pillow. Then I heard a strange sound. It was the sound of metal hitting metal. He put on his hat and went to where the sound was coming from. It was the landlord's house. I saw the landlord through the window. He was trying to put a gold coin in his mouth and spitting it out. The gold coins rolled to the floor, and the landowner muttered, "Why did you want to eat this?" "It was just a bowl of rice," touching his hat.
Kimsatgat muttered.
They say it's a gold-eating monster, but it really did try to eat it. If you're hungry, you just eat. What good is gold? The landowner looked down at the gold coins
Holding them
for a
in his
long
hand.
time. Then he sighed and said, "The hat guy was right. Rice is better than gold."
He put the gold coins in the box
and opened the door. And I said to the servant, "Distribute rice to the people. If they are
should
hungry," Kimsatgat smiled as he watched the scene. Even monsters change when they're hungry. He set out onto the road again. The next day, the village was different. The landowner distributed rice to the people. I put one bag in front of the door and left without saying a word. The people were surprised and said, "I guess the hat-wearing man chased away the monster," said the old woman, wiping away her tears. "I bet your son won't be hungry," the man said, holding up the rice. "My wife will laugh." "Thanks to you, Kim." Satgat. Kimsatgat smiled as he left the village. The monster is in the mind. If the hat is the key, then laughter must have opened the door. Were the old man's words true after all? That was a secret known only to Kimsatgat. He looked up at the sky as he left the village. The clouds drifted by and the wind brushed his hat. He muttered, "The world is truly amazing. Even those who ate gold now share their food, and even those who were hungry now smile." His footsteps followed along the road lightly. A child's voice was heard from afar. "Mister, come again," said Kimsatgat, waving his hand. "Come again, bring your smile." Kimsatgat's poem was short, but the meaning contained within. It was deep. Why did he say a bowl of rice was more precious than gold and silver? The world is constantly changing, and what we accumulate will eventually be scattered. The landlord's golden house, his glittering ornaments will eventually crumble in the wind. But a bowl of rice is different. It is a true treasure that fills
and
the
sustains
hungry.
life.
He wandered and saw this truth. From the water bucket of a woman, at the well, from the clear laughter of a child, from the sighs of the people. Some tried to eat gold. Some tried to seize power. But he knew that it was all fleeting. How are you? What made you smile today? Was it a play with a child, a warm bowl of rice, a star in the night sky? Or was it someone's small change? Kimsatgat saw the world from under his hat and found simple happiness in it. He comforted the people and made the landlord's arrogance laugh. He gave food to those who ate gold and laughter to those who were hungry. Tonight, you too can put it down for a moment. Let go of the greed you've been trying to hold on to, the worries you've been trying to forget, like the wind and water, and hold a small treasure in your heart. It may be something very simple. His poetry was simple, but it touched my heart. Laughter can lift a heavy heart, and a single word can change a person. He knew it on the road. Everyone, think of a small smile today. That might be your treasure. Kimsatgat set off again. The world seen from under the hat was still quiet. The mountain stood silently, and the river flowed endlessly. Where did he go? What kind of people did he meet, and what kind of poems did he leave behind? We'll hear about that in the next story. How are you feeling right now? Take a deep breath and exhale slowly. Tonight, take a moment to think about what your treasure is. It could be something as simple as a bowl of rice, or it could be a laugh shared with someone. With that in mind, close your eyes and relax. Kimsatgat's wisdom does not stop here. His wanderings continue, and his poetry speaks to us. I hope the wind embraces you, and the stars shine on you. If you think today's reading was of some help to your healing, please subscribe, like, and leave lots of comments. A series of classic readings for sleep-inducing experiences and healing. See you next time. I hope Kimsatgat's poetry finds its way into your dreams. Bye.